sister took credit for my promotion at dinner. My CEO was sitting right behind her and heard. My sister's fork froze mid-air like she'd just conducted an orchestra and was waiting for applause. Honestly, she said, loud enough for the whole restaurant to hear, if I didn't push her, she'd still be answering phones. I basically got her that promotion. She laughed, that bright little laugh she uses when she wants people to laugh with her, not at her. My mom's smile tightened. My dad looked down at his plate like the pasta suddenly needed emotional support. And I, sitting there in my one nice blazer that still smelled faintly like office air conditioning, felt my face go hot so fast my eyes watered. Because right behind my sister, at the table close enough that I could hear the clink of their wine glasses, my CEO said very clearly, "Oh," just one syllable. Not loud, not angry, but the kind of "oh" that lands like a paperweight. I didn't even turn my head at first. I went stiff, like if I moved it would make it real. My fingers crushed my napkin into a tight rope under the table. My sister kept going, of course, because she has never met a cliff edge she didn't want to tap dance on. I told her what to say in the interview, she added, leaning back in her chair like she was about to be photographed. I'm basically her career coach. You're welcome. She lifted her glass, expecting everyone to clink with her. I finally looked over her shoulder, and there she was. My CEO, in a navy dress, hair pinned back, sitting with two people I recognized from quarterly meetings, one of our board members and the CFO. They were clearly in the middle of something fancy, a folded menu, multiple glasses, the whole adult money vibe. My CEO's eyes flicked to me for half a second, just enough to confirm she knew it was me. Then back to my sister, who was still smiling like the main character in a movie nobody asked to watch. My CEO's expression didn't change. That was somehow worse. My throat tightened. I opened my mouth to speak, and nothing came out except this tiny, useless squeak. The kind of sound a balloon makes when it's running out of air. My sister didn't hear it. She was too busy basking in herself. It was a Tuesday night. Technically a Wednesday by the time I got home, but Tuesday in my head because that's when everything went sideways. I'd been promoted that afternoon. A real promotion. Not we're giving you more work and calling it growth. An actual title change, pay bump, team lead role, my own direct reports, the whole thing. I'd spent the last 3 years grinding quietly at a mid-sized company where quietly gets you overlooked until you make it impossible to ignore you. I didn't have connections. I didn't have a mentor who played golf with the right people. I had a spreadsheet of goals, a folder of receipts, proving I did the work, and the kind of anxiety that makes you triple-check emails before sending them. I also had Lena. Lena is my older sister by 2 years, which in our family might as well be 20. She's been the loud one, the confident one, the one who walks into a room and acts like it was built for her. Growing up, she was the kid teachers described as a leader while I got so sweet and quiet. Lena took leader and ran with it like it was a crown. When she got a B, it was because the teacher didn't like her. When I got an A, it was because I studied too much and needed to live a little. She'd steal my clothes and laugh if I got upset. She'd tell people stories about me that weren't true because it made her look funnier. She could hurt you and still convince you that you were the one being dramatic. And my parents, God, my parents loved the peace more than they loved the truth. So when I got the promotion, I told them. I didn't even want a dinner. I wanted to go home, sit on my couch, and stare at the ceiling while my nervous system tried to understand that something good had happened. But my mom insisted, we have to celebrate you. My dad said it's a big deal. Lena found out and texted dinner. Where are we going? I'll pick somewhere nice. Like she was planning a wedding. I should have said no. I should have picked takeout and a quiet night. But there's a part of me that still wants to believe that if I do the normal family thing, my family will act normal. Like it's a ritual that fixes us. We met at this Italian place downtown that Lena loves because the lighting is flattering and the menu has words she can pronounce dramatically. When I got there, she was already seated, already chatting with the waiter like they were old friends, already holding court. She hugged me too hard and said, "My little corporate girl," in this tone that made it sound like I'd won most improved at summer camp. She immediately announced to the table, I told her she needed to stop playing small, like she'd been giving TED Talks in our kitchen. I tried to ignore it. I told myself, she's just excited. That's the lie I always tell myself, the one that makes her behavior easier to digest. Mom asked me questions, real ones, which is rare, like what my title would be and if I'd have more responsibility. Dad nodded and said, "Proud of you." I felt something warm flicker in my chest. Then Lena leaned in, eyes bright. "Did you tell them about how I helped?" she asked. I blinked. "Helped with what?" "With your promotion," she said, like it was obvious. "Like, the pep talks, the advice. Me telling you not to settle." She said it casually, like she was asking if I'd mentioned she brought wine to my birthday. And I, because I am who I am, laughed awkwardly and said, "You didn't help with my promotion." Her smile stayed, but it sharpened. "Okay," she said, drawing the word out. "Wow, you're really going to do that right now?" Mom jumped in instantly. "Girls, not tonight." Dad cleared his throat. "Let's just enjoy dinner." So I swallowed it. Again. I let it slide. Again. Because that's what everyone wanted. We ate. Lena told stories about her life that were mostly true, but edited in a way that made her the hero. She talked about her job like she was running the company when she's actually in a role she changes every 9 months because the vibe gets weird. She joked about me being the responsible one, which is family code for the one we can rely on to tolerate things. She ordered a second drink and got louder. And then the promotion toast happened. I didn't even initiate it. The waiter brought out this little dessert plate with "congrats" written in chocolate because Mom had apparently planned it. Everyone clapped. I felt myself flush, but in a good way. Lena stood up, tapped her glass with her fork, and said speech. I wanted to crawl under the table. I smiled anyway, because my face does that when I'm nervous, like it's trying to smooth the air. Lena started with, "So, as you all know, my sister has finally been promoted. Finally, like I'd been waiting for her permission." People laughed politely. She looked around at nearby tables like she was entertaining the entire restaurant. "And I'm just so proud," she continued, "because she used to be so shy, so scared to put herself out there." "Right?" She looked at me expectantly, like I should confirm the narrative. I said, quietly, I wasn't scared. I was just working. She waved her hand. "Same thing." Then came a line, the one that made my stomach drop through my chair. "If I didn't push her," she said, "she'd still be answering phones." And right as she said it, that "oh" came from behind her. My brain did this weird double thing where half of it wanted to pretend I hadn't heard, and the other half was screaming, "Turn around, turn around, turn around." I turned just enough to see my CEO's face. She wasn't smiling. She wasn't angry. She was interested. The kind of interest you give a person who just revealed something important about themselves without realizing it. I tried to cut in. "Lena," I said, a warning in my voice I didn't feel entitled to use. "Stop." She ignored it and lifted her glass. "So, cheers to me," basically, she joked. The CFO behind her let out this tiny laugh that sounded more like a cough. My CEO didn't laugh at all. I felt my heart pounding in my throat. I could taste metal like pennies. My hand was shaking so much I had to grip my water glass to make them behave. "Lena," I said again, louder, "seriously, stop." She finally looked at me, and her eyes narrowed just a fraction. "Relax," she whispered, still smiling for the audience. "It's a toast." But my CEO had shifted in her chair. I saw out of the corner of my eye, like she decided something. My mom, bless her, noticed my face and leaned in. "What's wrong?" she mouthed. I couldn't answer because I was too busy trying not to implode in public. The next part happened in a way that felt slow and fast at the same time. My CEO stood up, not abruptly, not dramatically, just stood. She adjusted her napkin, turned slightly, and said, in a calm voice that somehow carried without being loud, "Excuse me." Lena, still standing, turned around like she'd been called on stage. She froze mid-smile when she saw my CEO. Her entire posture changed in half a second. From confident performer to a person who just realized they've been singing karaoke in the wrong key. My CEO offered her a polite, professional smile. "I'm sorry to interrupt," she said, "but I couldn't help overhearing." "Congratulations," she added, looking directly at me now. "You've earned it." The word earned hit me like oxygen. Lena let out a little nervous laugh. Oh my God, she said. Sorry. I didn't realize. My CEO nodded like that wasn't important. No worries, she said. I just wanted to clarify something for the table. She paused. Tiny pause. Surgical pause. Your sister's promotion was based on her performance, her initiative, and the way she's led key projects over the last year. We're lucky to have her. My dad went very still. My mom's hand flew to her chest like she was watching a soap opera unfold in real life. Lena's face did this thing, like the blood left it and then rushed back all at once. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Well, she said, I mean, of course. I was just joking. My CEO kept the same mild smile. Of course, she said, in a tone that suggested she didn't believe Lena for a second. Anyway, enjoy your evening. Then she turned slightly, leaned just enough toward me, and said quietly, We'll talk tomorrow. Nothing bad. Just check in. And then she sat back down like she hadn't just detonated my sister's ego at table 12. For about 5 seconds, there was absolute silence at our table. The kind of silence that has weight. Even the restaurant noise seemed to blur. Then Lena sat down, too hard, and said, Okay, that was humiliating. I genuinely couldn't believe those were the words she chose. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I messed up. Not, are you okay? Just, how dare that happen to me? You humiliated yourself, I said, and my voice sounded steadier than I felt. Mom hissed, not now. Dad muttered, let's just drop it. Lena leaned in, eyes bright with anger now, no longer playing hostess. Why didn't you tell me she was here? She demanded. I let out this laugh, one sharp burst, because the absurdity finally hit. I didn't invite her, I said. She's allowed to eat dinner in a public place. Lena's lips pressed together. She glanced back at my CEO's table like she wanted to file a complaint with the universe. She embarrassed me, she said again, quieter. I felt something harden in my chest. Not rage, exactly. More like clarity. You try to take credit for my job, I said, in front of my boss. It was a joke, she snapped. It wasn't, I said. You meant it. You always mean it. Mom reached across and touched my wrist. Honey, she said softly, like she was trying to calm a storm. Lena didn't mean. Yes, she did. I cut in, and my mom flinched like I'd raised my voice. I hadn't. I just stopped cushioning the truth. Lena scoffed. Oh my God, you're being so dramatic. There it was. The familiar line. The one that makes everyone else exhale and think, see? This is why we don't confront her. It gets messy. I stood up so quickly my chair scraped. A few heads turned. I didn't care. I grabbed my purse, my hand still shaking. I'm leaving, I said. Mom's eyes widened. Don't do this. Dad looked panicked, like he was about to lose control of the narrative. Sit down. People are watching. Lena leaned back and smirked like she'd won. Go on, she said. Run away. That's what you do. I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I saw how desperate she was for me to stay in the role she'd assigned me. The quiet sister. The one who absorbs. The one who lets her shine. The one who never makes her pay for anything. I'm not running away, I said. I'm choosing not to sit here while you rewrite my life out loud. Then I turned, and as I walked past my CEO's table, I caught her eye. She gave me a small nod. Not pity, not amusement, just acknowledgement. Like she'd seen something true and wasn't going to pretend otherwise. I left. I went outside into the cold air and stood on the sidewalk with my hands trembling so badly I couldn't unlock my phone. I could still hear the muffled restaurant noise behind the glass. Laughter. Plates. Somebody else's normal night. I finally got my phone open and ordered an Uber. And while I waited, my mom called me 3 times. I didn't answer. In the car, I stared out the window and tried not to cry because crying felt like letting Lena win. Which is a ridiculous way to think, but that's where my brain went. Competition, scorekeeping, survival. When I got home, I sat on my couch in the dark and replayed the scene over and over. Lena's voice. My CEO saying, you've earned it. The way my parents immediately tried to smooth it over like the truth was the real problem. The next morning at work, I felt like I was walking into a courtroom. I kept thinking everyone knew, that my CEO had gone back and told people about the dinner, that my promotion was now wrapped in family drama. At 10:02, I got a calendar invite. Quick check-in, 15 minutes from my CEO. I went to her office with my stomach in knots. She looked up and smiled, the normal office smile, like she hadn't just witnessed my family implode over breadsticks. "Hey," she said. "Close the door." I did. My hands were still slightly shaky. I sat down too stiffly. She leaned back and folded her hands. "First," she said, "congratulations again. Yesterday was unfortunate, but it doesn't change anything about your role. You were promoted because you've been doing the work. Period." My throat tightened. I nodded too quickly, like I was trying to agree my way out of shame. She continued, "Second, I want you to know I'm not judging you for what I overheard. Families are families. But I'm going to tell you something as your manager and as someone who's watched you here." I swallowed. "Okay." She held my gaze. "You minimize yourself," she said gently. "You let other people talk over you. You apologize when you don't need to. And you have a habit of assuming you're lucky to be here instead of recognizing you belong here." I felt my eyes sting. I blinked hard. "I'm not saying that to criticize you," she added. "I'm saying it because the next level of your career requires you to take up space. Not in a loud way, in a grounded way. And if someone, even a family member, tries to rewrite your achievements, you correct it. You don't owe anyone your silence." I nodded again, but this time it was slower, heavier. She smiled a little. "Also," she said, and there was a hint of humor now, "your sister might want to be careful about giving career advice in public." I let out a tiny laugh that cracked into something that was almost a sob. I covered my mouth with my hand, embarrassed. My CEO slid a box of tissues toward me without making it a big deal. "Take a minute," she said, "and then go lead your team." I wiped my eyes, inhaled, and did the thing I always do. I tried to make it small. "I'm sorry you had to." "No," she cut in, still kind. "You don't apologize for someone else's behavior." That sentence sat in my body like a new muscle I didn't know how to use yet. That night, Lena texted me, "You embarrass me. Mom is crying. Call me." I stared at it for a long time. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I could feel the old reflex. Fix it, smooth it, make it okay, take the blame so the night can be rewritten into something tolerable. Instead, I typed, "You try to take credit for my work in front of my boss. You embarrassed yourself. Don't contact me for a while." 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, "Wow, you've changed." Money got to your head. I almost laughed. It was so predictable it was boring. My mom called after that. I answered because I knew she'd keep calling until my phone died. Her voice was shaky. "Sweetheart," she said, "you know how Lena is." She didn't mean it. She was just excited. I took a breath. "Mom," I said, and my voice sounded weirdly calm, "Lena is how Lena is because everyone keeps making excuses for her." Silence. "She's your sister," Mom whispered, like that should be enough to justify anything. "I know," I said, "and I'm her sister too." Where was that energy when she was humiliating me in front of strangers? Where was that protection for me? Mom started to cry, soft little hiccupy sounds. And there was a time when that would have folded me instantly. I would have rushed in with comfort, with apologies, with the familiar role of peacekeeper. But I just sat there on my couch, phone to my ear, and let her cry without rushing to stop it. "I'm not cutting you off," I said quietly, "but I'm not playing this game anymore. If you want me in your life, you have to stop asking me to swallow everything so Lena can stay comfortable." Mom sniffed. "She's having a hard time." I almost said, "So am I." Instead, I said, "Then she should talk to someone about it. Not use me as a mirror." There was a long pause. Then Mom whispered, "Okay." It wasn't a promise. It wasn't a dramatic breakthrough. But it was the first time she hadn't immediately defended Lena with her whole chest. A week later, there was another family dinner planned, Dad's birthday. Lena wasn't uninvited. Nobody said anything like that. They just acted like it was normal that I might not come. Mom texted, "We'd love you here." No pressure. I stared at my calendar, stared at my work notes, stared at the part of me that still wanted to show up and prove I was fine. I didn't go. Instead, I took Dad out for coffee the next day, just me and him. In the middle of the conversation, he finally said, "Your sister was out of line." I looked at him surprised. He stared into his coffee like it might tell him what to do. "I should have said something," he admitted. "I didn't. That's on me." My chest tightened in a way that felt like grief and relief at the same time. "Yeah," I said, because I wasn't going to make it easier for him by pretending it was fine. He nodded slowly. "You're doing good," he said. "At work. In life. Don't let her." He trailed off like he didn't know how to name what Lena does. "Make me smaller?" I offered. He winced. "Yeah," he said. "That." I went home after that and sat in my car for a minute before going inside. Because sometimes the smallest sentences, "she was out of line," hit harder than the big ones. Lena hasn't apologized. Not really. She sent a couple of "are you still mad?" texts, which is her version of accountability. She told my cousin I'm acting superior. She posted a vague Instagram story about toxic people who don't support your glow up, which I know was about me, because she has never had an original thought that didn't require an audience. But here's the thing. I got promoted. I'm doing the job. I'm leading meetings where people actually listen to me. I'm learning how to speak without asking permission. And every time I feel myself shrinking. Every time I hear Lena's voice in my head going, "Don't be dramatic. Don't make a scene. Don't act like you're better than us." I remember my CEO's calm, precise voice behind her saying, "Oh." Then I remember her saying, "You've earned it." And for the first time in my life, I'm starting to believe it, even if my sister never will.